Hello all and welcome to my first ever video where I'll be actually talking. This video will be about a few problems I've encountered playing Mafia, which led me to think that this has to be the absolute laziest remaster I've ever seen, as it contains problems that shouldn't even exist in the gaming world anymore. And if I'm a mere user found these problems, then I don't understand how a whole team could miss them. So that's why I'm going with lazy and not incompetence. I will also include some interesting aspects of how the game seems to operate, some funny clips, a few glitches where missions get absolutely ruined, and what the game did right. One very important detail that I want to mention is that I play the games on the hard difficulty minimum, and I think that's what enables me to find problems that might go unnoticed in lower difficulties, because either they're not costly enough or annoying enough for the player to notice them, and also because you're not required to perform as much, so the game doesn't have to make that many efforts to run things for you. So let's get right to it. Now let's start with this mission. This mission, you're supposed to go up some staircase, kill a few police officers, and then join Joe on the ledge. So there's a cutscene where Vito gets in position, and then two police officers come out, which I just killed, and then nothing happened. So you can see me here trying to advance. You know, Joe, look, he's beckoning for me, and nothing's happening. So at this point, I'm just trying any button to see what is it, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I even tried jumping off the roof to see if something would trigger anything, but nothing happened. So at this point, I decide to track back and see if maybe I missed something. And to my surprise, there he is. There was a police officer behind this door. And not just one, but two. As you could see, one of them wasn't even there. So I started again, killed the two police officers, and waited for the other one to come out. He did not come out. Tried to advance the mission. Still nothing. So I figured, okay, he must be waiting for me or something. And indeed he was. And again, I'm cautious here because I know that there are two of them. And when I try to kill both, I get surprised from the right side. So there he is, it just came out. So this was the first big problem that I noticed. It's that enemies always need to be nudged into action, otherwise they'll never do anything. And if one of them is not in plain sight, you'll look for him and the mission will not advance. I thought that you're supposed to come out of cover, but it's not the case necessarily, because several times I'm out of cover and the enemies just still don't react at all. In any case, the cover system is completely obsolete, because you know, this problem of getting shot and taking damage while in cover kind of is mitigated by a small exploit that makes covers obsolete. And this exploit is that if the crosshair is on target, even if your weapon is behind an obstacle, the bullet will still hit. I mean, just take a look at my stats. So out of the 17 hours that I've played, I have only been in cover for 44 minutes. So you can see here the crosshair getting red even though I'm behind the stairs, and you can also see them becoming inactive every time I'm out of sight, which is what misled me to think that it was a matter of cover, but I'll show you later that it's not really the case. So in here I tried to cause some type of reaction, and you can see that he is aware that I'm shooting at him. He does react to bullets, but he's just not in combat mode. I don't understand why. So anyway, I'm just trying to cause some reaction, but to no success. So I decided to try something different. I saw the prompt for a stealth kill appear, but when you press the button, nothing happens. The animation goes on for Vito, but not for the police guy. And when you try to provoke a full frontal altercation, there is an animation of the enemy pushing you back. However, he just goes back to being inactive, and it's obvious that it's not something that you can miss. I'm sure they just decided to leave it that way. So in the end, I tried to shoot non-lethally to see if he reacts in any way, but he doesn't. He's gonna stay like this forever, or until, of course, you kill him. So then I can finally proceed with the mission. As you can see, this can cause some problems. Sometimes that someone is at some corner and you have no idea, the mission is not going to advance. This is just another example. This mission is way further than the one that we just saw. It's just to show you that this happens constantly in any mission. So there he is. I just shot him. He's not doing anything. He just stands there. In this clip, the same thing is happening. I thought that it was because it was a tutorial, but it's not the case, because I've tried this several times and the guy does kick your ass if you don't do anything, but there is something that provokes this inactiveness. I don't know what it is. Having enemies inactive like this can sometimes create scenarios where you think that there's nobody anymore, but they're just inactive. So in here, it turns out that it was very smart. I wish the AI was this clever. However, I know that it's just a malfunction, because this is not consistent. They're not usually this clever. In fact, I'll be showing you some clips where they're just downright dumb. In here, I'm just trying to show you that they can be inactive even when you're out of cover. At first, I thought that you had to come out of cover, but it seems like they have some area of awareness, if you will, where if you don't go into that area, even if you're vulnerable, then they won't necessarily become active. The same thing happened during this mission, where you have to, spoiler alert, kill Derek. So what you're doing here is that you have to clear the enemies up in this dock and then head to the office. And by the way, your allies die systematically. Even if they don't get shot, when you eliminate a certain number of enemies, one of your allies will die. And the game will leave you one of them in the end that oftentimes just remains inactive. Like that guy you just saw, he's gonna stay there and not move, most likely. So once you get rid of all the enemies, or you think that you got rid of all of them, you try advancing to Derek's garage. So as you're doing that, it's perfectly silent. You assume that there are no more enemies until you get one-shotted by someone who just woke up. This is a clip where you see enemies taking cover, not in cover. This is just to show you that it's not them being clever when you get shot from a surprise enemy. It's just malfunction. The AI is absolutely abysmal in many instances, and they are like laser precision terminators in others. For example, in here, I took cover and they're freaking out. Sorry about that. I was in a party with my friends, so you heard us speaking, but They were just plain freaking out because I took cover. I don't understand this. This is another example where I'd like to show you AI being inconsistent. So in here I get accosted by the police, and you know, suddenly this guy decides that he wants to be a hero. There he is. And then he changes his mind and just goes and stands there in the corner, not doing anything. I don't get this. It's nice to have this surprise from time to time, but like I said, I wish it was AI being clever. But it's just a malfunction that occasionally results in a scenario where you get outsmarted by the AI. This is another instance where a random NPC decides to be a hero, except that this time he downright kicked my ass. Look at that. I mean, that's just that's fantastic. I don't hate this. It's just what I don't like is the inconsistency. Yeah, that was quite an event. And I decided to conclude the first section with this little nugget of drivers being senseless. So anyway, on to the second section. This time I want to show you this clip where you can see me take damage even undercover. This is important for the next discussion. So keep in mind this cover problem. So additionally to that, I take damage from Molotovs that didn't even explode in my area. They exploded on the platform above. Plus the fact that I'm receiving overwhelming firepower and that I'm trapped in the garage and playing on the hard difficulty. It made the situation a little bit hairy for me. So I decided to try and avoid being trapped in the garage. So there I succeeded in making the door close. But then some weird things started happening. In here I was trying to provoke some type of reaction because I expected the enemies to just come out or reopen the garage or something. But nothing happened until something pretty interesting went down. So let's just skip ahead. There it is. Did you see that? Look at that. So when that happened, I didn't understand what was going on. I thought it was an ally, and I was like, why is he shooting at the roof? So I tried to replicate the same thing again. I thought that it was just by hitting the garage door, but it's not the case. You just have to get close. And then I realized that it was an enemy trying to kill me while with me in the car, but they can't shoot in the car. They have to get out like that, out of the car. So I tried something, like I tried going far away from the garage door to see if something interesting would happen. Maybe more enemies would spawn, and nothing happens. It looks like the game will feed me one enemy at a time, and it will feed it in the car and nowhere else. In this instance, he gets out of the car, refuses to shoot me at all. He absolutely insists on getting in. So I decide to get out to see what's gonna happen, but nothing interesting happened. So after that one gets killed by one of my allies, I assume, I try to replicate the same thing. So I go face first into the garage door, and surely enough, there is another enemy spawning in my car. So it's interesting. I don't think that this is inherently bad or indicative of bad programming or anything, because I did go off the script. And by the way, you will be seeing some clips of missions being played out very weirdly when you go off script even a tiny bit. But anyway, we'll see that later. So in this case, I'm just trying to replicate this as many times as I can to see what's gonna happen once I run out of enemies. Is the garage door going to open? Can I even access Derek's office from the upstairs door? Is Derek going to be fed into the car? So I've had quite a few questions. However, something weird happens. Look at this. I get this weird, like as if something hit me really violently and the garage door doesn't close and the enemies are going to be acting logically. Look at that. The mission goes on. It's as if suddenly the game decided, okay, you know what? I'm tired of your bullshit. Just play the mission, and the game actually ran the mission in a logical way. So they didn't succeed in trapping me in the garage. The logical thing is to take the fight outside, which they are doing. So this was very surprising, and I do like credit where credit is owed. The game did manage my bullshit quite well. So this was a delight, honestly. So anyway, it was quite a mystery how the game decides to do that. So thank you for sticking around, and I'll be seeing you in section 3 and 4, and we'll see some more interesting things and some funny stuff